That's not the ums.
What about like? Like if I say like a lot.
Depends if we've asked you a question about things you like.
All right.
3, 2, 1, let's record a podcast. My name is Jake.
And I'm Alex.
I'm Jonah.
This is Uncut Games, the Replay Cafe official Talk Core weekly podcast. And we are here with our guest today, Dave from Psychic Drive. Hi, Dave.
Hi, how's it going?
I just realized I don't know Dave's last name.
No one knows.
It's Psychic Drive.
Yep. Changed my last name as well when I opened the business.
For a long time, I thought it was Dave Owns was like your
oh my god, that would be
name.
so cool too. But it really that comes from the Instagram that I made in 2013. I feel like I've outgrown it, but whatever, you know.
No.
So it wasn't your gamer tag. Like you weren't like
It sounds
Dave
like a gamer
Owens.
tag.
No, it's not a gamer tag.
Disappointing.
Where did it come from? What's the history?
I mean, I feel like you guys are all enough with gaming to know that you used to say you got owned.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from.
Before it developed a pwned.
It's as simple as that. It comes from...
But it wasn't your gamer tag.
No.
What was like the first gamer tag you remember creating?
Most of the gamer tags I have are Nicoloo, which is the name of my first cat, which is like a made-up name.
Wow.
This explains a lot for me because you are Nicoloo on Discord,
Yep.
and I saw it and I didn't connect it right away until you
Plus,
said
my
Happy
face is
Easter.
hidden with like a coffee cup as
I
well.
was like, I don't know who this very nice person in our Discord is wishing us a happy Easter, but
Right.
Happy Easter to you.
Oh, I think you showed that to me. Like, who's Nicoloo? And I'm like,
See, if you do
don't know
click
him?
the description, it'll say like, "Oh, I'm probably working on Psychic Drive stuff." So like, that's the only way people ever figure out who it is.
There's descriptions on Discord. I'm learning still.
Listen,
You
I
can
am not
click on
good at
people's
Discord.
stuff.
There was a form, and I typed things into it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's why I like Owns as a name because it does, like you said, like precede Pwns, which puts it at roughly like 2002, 2003.
Oh, it's old. Yeah. We're talking about like
This owns.
gosh, we're talking about like FPS Doug era stuff.
What's Doug era?
FPS Doug?
What's
First
Oh my
person shooter
God.
Doug, like
I
the
forget
TV
the
show.
name of the show.
Is it Doug?
Jesus.
I
No.
do.
No,
Is it like Doug FM? The
It
radio
was like
station?
it was like a show for people that liked Counter-Strike and shit in like 2002.
It was a
Okay.
show.
An internet show.
Okay.
Like before YouTube was like YouTube.
This is why I was so excited to talk
I'm gonna
to
have
you.
to give you guys this video, and I think it was actually called Pure Ponage is the name of the show. It came to me. I'm gonna have to show you guys.
Wait. Is that pure
with the
or is that
P, so
pure?
P-U-R and then space P-W-N, however you spell
AGE,
Ponage. Yeah.
Last episode, I learned what an RSS feed is.
Oh wow.
Did we really
I don't
learn
use them
what it
anymore,
is?
but that is old school.
Did we learn what it is? I asked and you said it was like a button you hit to receive content, which I understand.
I didn't say that. That was Norris.
Is that untrue? Can you set the record straight on what an RSS feed is?
I mean, it's a little orange icon that looks kind of like your wireless.
Yeah.
And then when you have a feed, I would say that it kind of simplifies it. It kind of like chunks up your sources of various news into like an easy to read flat.
Are we describing
in
Reddit right now?
In one place. Well, so that's the thing is like I am not really a Reddit user.
Were you ever?
No.
Never.
No.
Because you.
I mean, I have an account
Okay.
because occasionally I'll like lurk on there and I need to like post something, but it's like I'm not like let me log on to Reddit and see what's up today.
No, not anymore. Not unless you're in an incognito or whatever.
No.
Because like I always
Wait. What?
I'll explain this, and it's not what you think. All right, so when I go onto Reddit, I've made an account recently, and it was
Sure.
for replay, and I followed a bunch of like CRT gaming and
Sure.
name your thing.
I do want to say,
Yeah.
it is not connected to the official Replay Cafe Reddit subreddit.
I was going to bring that up
yeah.
too, which is also very funny. But this is just to clear my name real quick, and then we'll hop to that. I made this personal feed, but you know when you go on just the regular I'm not logged in Reddit, it's got like some news and stuff. If I want the news and stuff, I go incognito because it doesn't
have who you are.
It's not covered in like CRTs. Basically,
I
is my
see.
point.
Let's
It's
see, if I
just-
were to use it, I would want it to be covered in CRTs, but
Right. Well, it's great for that.
Okay.
I really. There's a lot of Reddit hate, which I think is such a broad
I'm not
community.
coming from a place of hatred. I'm just coming from a place of like, I never really got into it, and I'm not about to.
It's past its prime anyway.
But the Nuggies.
Tendies.
I don't know if it's
Tendies,
past. It's
thanks,
like
sorry.
different communities can rise and fall on Reddit, which I appreciate.
Sure.
As where I think 4chan or like Newgrounds are like monolithic sites where they speak as one voice.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'll tell you that I did start going on 4chan in 2005.
Great. Let's talk about it.
No, we can't talk about that.
What? You weren't. What boards were you on?
Well, B only.
Be on. I
Oh,
remember
okay, and wallpaper, WG.
to get your 4,000 by 4,000.
Oh, yeah, you need multiple monitor wallpapers. I mean, but what I'm saying is, like, even in 2005, B wasn't, like, that cool.
No.
It was like, so I asked someone like, hey, you're sending me all these funny memes over AIM, and how do I find those? And then they dropped the link into the chat, and I was like, I guess sometimes I look at this weird page, that has things on it.
It didn't mean anything to you. There's no cultural attachment.
Well, I mean, memes used to be secret.
Yeah. Well, they used to be like troll faces and stuff.
Well, this precedes that even. We're talking about Raptor Jesus right now. Like we're in old times.
Scumbag Steve.
I feel like an old man who's never heard of anything that's happening.
Whoa!
I never have ever been on 4chan.
That's okay.
I don't know the difference between 4chan and 8chan, but I'm sure from the sounds of it,
I can't even tell you that.
Giant
I'll tell you that
difference
there are
because
edgy high schoolers on 4chan and true criminals on 8chan.
Yeah.
Like that is the difference.
Yeah, see,
I had
I
them-
don't even know. I fell out of that. But what I'm saying is like that is to me when someone says 4chan, that's to me like old internet. Just that was back in the day when everyone still used AIM. 4chan existed. It was all
I
right.
had to connect in my brain that they were two different things while this conversation was going on.
Nice.
I was like, wait, isn't 8chan the rise of white supremacy
No,
and the
no.
underground movement and all this stuff? And then I realized 8 and 4 are different numbers.
They are. I would definitely say that what you are thinking of is 4chan, and I want to put. If you guys have seen, maybe Dave will like this. Jonah, what's the movie called with the frog? Oh, Feels Good Man. Have you seen the documentary that came out this year from Arthur
No,
Russell?
have not.
It's so cool because it actually like starts to like talk about NFTs in an early thing. They talk about rare Pepes and how a guy like was betting like thousands of Bitcoins on it. And like later in the year, I'm like, oh my god, he's just talking about he bought an NFT.
I
But
don't
there
like
was-
this.
Okay,
I do not like this.
we can back out. Okay, so
Tell us more about this Nicoloo name.
Yeah.
'cause,
Oh, I mean, it was just I was really into Pokemon, and there was a new cat in my life, so I figured I might as well name it something like it kind of comes from Pikachu if you really think about it. If you like line them up together,
Okay, yeah.
I was like, I don't know, not even 10 years old, and then I just used like when I think I honestly. Steam might have been my first gamer tag. My Steam account's like 14 years old.
do you have like
So
the most
old.
expansive library in the world?
None of the games are installed. I mean,
What you got?
I don't know. We can
I
load
would
it up
love-
later. I'm
I
so
would lo-
sorry.
As a promo for this episode, I'd like to go through Dave's Steam.
Sure, yeah. I mean,
That
we
would be
can
cool.
we can
Dave's Steam
stream
is
we
the
can
screenshot.
stream that later, or yeah, whatever you want. That's fine.
So, like, Dave, just for like the listeners, like, what do you do? And just
this
kind
is
of like what,
great.
like, explain
That's
kind
what we
of
should
like
have
what
asked.
Psychic Drive is to
Okay, sure.
listeners, and plug yourself or just kind of like tell us your background, how you got into like what you're doing.
Okay, so we can't talk about it without talking about like MagFest, which is this amazing event it stands for Music and Games Festival. So you just put all that together, MagFest. And it happens at National Harbor, which is kind of like in this weird cross of like 3 states, but it's basically over by Washington. So it's a little far. It's like
Washington State?
DC.
Glad I asked.
So yeah,
Even closer.
it's an East Coast thing.
Are
Okay.
you from?
Oh, no, I'm
That
from
area?
here.
You're
Born,
from
born
there.
and
Okay.
raised
Born-
Michigan,
okay.
but this is just something that I traveled to because while there are events around here, MagFest is like people come from all over.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge. Like I want to say their attendance is like 25,000. It's big, and so I had kind of volunteered to work it in the arcade in 2016, and that is at that time I only had one arcade machine. But I was like, I have an arcade machine and I've moved it. This looks cool. I can help here.
I think when you get one, you definitely feel like one is enough. One is in 'cause
I
it's such a purchase.
managed to keep only one machine from 2013 to like 2017.
What was it?
Virtual On. And I ended up
don't know.
selling it. But it's a robot fighting game. And the reason I bought it, and it kind of ties into what games I do like, is because it has like joystick controls for you controlling your robot. And the home controls for it suck. So I was like, well, if I'm going to get a machine, I got to get something that's like not replaceable like with the home controller easily. I mean, they made one, but it's just not the same.
Okay.
So that's kind of what, a lot of the driving force between me picking a game is like, oh, what's the controller like if it's a weird game? I mean, I like a lot, people are like, okay, your taste is a little weird, but like I like a lot of random
For a
stuff
home
like
controller, just to ask for myself,
Sure.
it's like the part that comes out. I know it's a terrible description.
We're-
I mean, like it's like an on the table version of arcade joystick and
that.
buttons,
Yeah, I
right?
will give you the perfect example that everyone will be familiar with. It's the difference between a DDR mat and a DDR machine.
Okay.
Perfect.
It's made of metal, indestructible when it's arcade, When it's in your home, it is a sad, crinkly mess.
We have 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate them.
I mean, they're fine, but you can't do advanced stuff on them. I mean, you get a certain number of steps in the song, you just can't do it. And they move, and you know, there's all kinds of reasons that you would want a machine over that. But back to MagFest. So I volunteer. Circling back. Okay, so I volunteer, and I go there. And what it is it's usually like over 10 different people bringing their collections to this event. And it just kind of opened my eyes to like, okay, people can... Like, there's these huge events happening, and they're around the country, but, like, you know, this is my first exposure to it, and I'm like, how do I be part of this all the time? And that's kind of, like, what started it. And, you know, from there, like, buying and selling machines, like, I slowly bought machines. I was like, okay, well, eventually we're going to have a truckload of these, and then those can be rented out.
That seems like such a, like, we wanted, above all, the Simpsons beat 'em up for this place.
Sure.
And when I saw the price, I thought, I'll never own one.
They've been steadily going up. So if I had bought everything that I own now, if I had bought all that stuff in 2016, I would have spent a lot less money. Yeah. The prices have just steadily gone up. So if you're telling me, I look for a Simpsons cabinet price in...
this summer, I think.
Yeah, now, I mean, it's almost doubled since 2016 when I started.
I swear it was 13,000.
And it's already doubled. I don't want to say...
Maybe
you could probably find one for like 1,400.
Okay,
but like back in like let's go back even further than 2016. You probably could have bought one for like $800 in like 2012.
Do you ever look at machines like that and think about it as more of an investment rather than, hey, I want to own this machine, but like hey, this machine has value and I could sell it in 3 years, sort of thing, and get my use out of it?
I feel like I never buy with the intention of selling.
Okay.
Like by the time I've been like, I'm going to invest money in this machine, and I guess I just use the word invest, but it's like if the money is going to have to leave my possession, it better be something that I want. If I end up selling it later, that'll be because maybe the needs of the business changed, or it just isn't as popular as I wanted it to be, or something like that. I don't
like
buy
trading up.
I don't buy things to flip. Yeah, but
gotcha.
If I do see like a really great deal and it just needs some work, maybe I would consider working on it. But it's like I take a lot of projects. I take in a lot of projects, so it's like it's very, very. You have to at the beginning. You're like, just give me everything, and then I've been doing it now for 2016, 5 years almost, and you just get to this point where you're saying, okay, I could fix it, but I don't have time.
Yeah,
and it does take a minute to kind of get to that level of like seeing the projects stack up and saying, I really need to prioritize what I'm going to do here. So.
And from day one, I know you were saying Psychic Drive was like the name you had to make sure everything was lined up. Have you from day one been Psychic Drive for the last 5 years?
Yeah, it's never been renamed. I do help people. Like everyone in the scene is friends. So like there are many people in Michigan who are arcade people. So it's like a whole extra community. Like there's a lot of different communities, and arcade is one community. And I try really hard to be friends with everyone. So it's not like, I'm competing with these guys. I started by buying like different stuff. I'm buying Japanese games, but there's other people who are collecting Japanese games, so I'm buying even different games than them. But also, the games I'm buying are different than you're going to find at most of the arcades around here.
That's what I've noticed also around with like what we're doing, where when people talk to us, they go, there's a place that's doing something similar. I'm like, it is similar. But in the same way, no one is stepping on anybody else's toes because like the landscape is so big. You can be anything you want and really just have your room to do your own thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Gaming in general, I think, is a very niche industry, in the... Like
it's a niche full of niches.
Someone could open up across the street from us and it would be probably impactful to our business in a different way than like a McDonald's and a Wendy's opening across the street from each other.
We might get more business if they moved across the street.
So you're talking about the community and like basically like the gaming scene and specifically with arcade, and you said in Michigan. Is this like a Michigan heavy thing where there's compared to East Coast, West Coast or something like that, or like surrounding states? Does Michigan have a bigger community, smaller community? What does it kind of look like?
I want to say that Michigan has always had more things like comic book stores where you can go play Magic at and things like that. And this isn't specifically related to gaming, but being a Midwest type thing, there isn't a lot of stuff to do. So I kind of feel like a lot of people around here are nerdy. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So
We're indoor
like,
folk.
Yeah.
Your theory would be that it's just less things to do. Like you're inside for 6 months of the year.
Right.
You have to entertain yourself. How do you do it? I think it's like, again, you get into the whole card game thing, even like euchre. Like everyone here plays cards.
Right. So like Chicago, they were the home of some game development companies when arcades were still popular, Midway and all those things. So that's different. Like their roots are because there's people making games there all the time. I would say that Michigan specifically, I can't know for sure if I know we had arcades, but it was different than saying, okay, people are making the arcades here.
Right. No dev here, but like lots of consumption.
Right. But now there are indie game devs here.
Right, which is really cool. And like,
well, and Jake, you've mentioned before that like, Michigan specifically, I think was the home of like Magic the Gathering or Wizards
Dave
on the
told me
Coast.
that.
Or
Right. So
Okay.
I was looking about a month ago. I was remembering there's a Wizards of the Coast store. So this is an entire brick and mortar store dedicated to trading card games and board games made by Wizards of the Coast in Lakeside Mall, which is basically where I grew up. And I was thinking, like, how come I can't find any photos of this store? It existed. I know it did. And I had wanted to tweet about it. So I did more research, ended up finding out that there was only about 15 of these stores. And Wizards of the Coast is based in Washington.
yeah.
And then when I say Washington, I do mean way, way, way West Coast. So most of the stores were either in Washington or California, but 2 of them were in Michigan. And seeing that weird kind of data point of being like, well, they picked Michigan for 2 of these stores. I mean, they weren't open for more than a couple of years, but they picked Michigan for 2 stores. That tells me they had some market research to say a lot of people are playing Magic cards in Michigan as far back as like 2001 when the store opened. So when a few minutes ago when I said, yeah, I think Michigan has always been a place where people are kind of into some of those hobbies. Maybe, I think obviously tabletop gaming is still gaming. That goes as far back as 2001 for me.
Which maybe correct me if I'm wrong, because you played Magic semi-pro, right?
Semi-pro is a loose definition. I'm saying, okay, I will clarify it. I did get to go to the Friday Night Magic Championship that they had in 2012, and it was the only time they did it because they realized they were making like local events too competitive. And I was grinding to make sure I got enough points because you had to be in the top 48 people in America to go to that. So when I say that, I just mean there was a year where I was at a card shop 3 or 4 nights a week for an entire year straight, just playing and caring about my win percentage.
That sounds so good.
It was wild.
It's like being in the Yu-Gi-Oh anime, basically.
Like it was wild. And there are so many people. Like I did make so many friends playing Magic. So, and it's the same way. I mean, I just went from one community to another community basically after I didn't do so hot at that tournament.
Okay.
But I did grind really hard to get there, and then kind of after I didn't do great at the tournament, I cooled it for a little bit because I was like, I did just spend a year making sure that I got here, and there was 2 people in the top 40. There's 2 people from Michigan.
Okay.
So like me and the other dude from Michigan were like, "What up? Now we're friends." Like, you know what I mean? Like
representation.
Right. So the tournament was at Gen Con 2012, which was my first event ever. Like I had never gone to like a convention before.
Cool.
I didn't even have a smartphone at the time when I was there. I had to like go into businesses and be like, "Hey, I'm trying to like find this place," and I had like like my like information of where to go. It was horrible. But I do love remembering that time.
That's my biggest fear, I think. Besides birds and guns, but like a social interaction.
You would hate skeet shooting or something.
A social interaction where like I'm lost and have to communicate with a stranger and try to describe or tell them where I'm looking for. Ugh.
Right. Like I luckily was looking for like a specific hotel that the event was in, but I just had this like printout that was like from Wizards of the Coast. It was like, go here on this date and pick up your stuff. And I was like, all right, yeah, I'll be there.
That sounds equally as cool to me as when people tell me they had to like call like random phone numbers in bathroom stalls to go to certain raves. Like that's about equal in my head in terms of difficulty. Like,
yeah, it was kind of rough because I traveled alone to go there, and I just didn't know what I was doing.
Oh, what state was it in, Gen Con?
I want to say it's in Illinois. No. Indiana.
Okay.
Indiana sounded right.
Indiana's right.
Yeah, they do Gen Con every year, right?
I only went to Gen Con 2012 and 2013, but after that I started going to like at least a couple conventions a year, which is how I eventually went to MagFest. So it is connected. The circle is there.
Yeah.
Which is perfect because I want to ask, like, I've been in rooms before and thought, how do I get in on this? And then I usually have no answer. I think of something else to do later. But how did you actually start, like, who did you talk to? Did you meet someone at that event? Where do you start getting in?
I went to MagFest because I traded a record to someone else
What record
on
was it?
Discogs.
What record was it?
So I really like ska.
Okay.
And I was trying to complete my Streetlight Manifesto record collection, and I just needed somewhere in the between. And
I have that on vinyl.
I was ready to get this, and I was like, all right. At this time, it was like 2015, and they hadn't reprinted them. They reprinted them all recently. You can go buy them easily.
Yeah, Jonah, no one's impressed with your record.
No. It is nice.
I've got everything except the Hands That Thieve.
Yep.
Even
when I bought that, people gave me shit because they're like, Victory, and I was like, but my collection. So there was some hand wringing, but I pre-ordered it.
Whatever. If I didn't get the Victory Records sampler disc in 2006, I wouldn't know who Streetlight Manifesto was.
Ooh, yeah,
so.
and that's the thing is like I was jamming that stuff back in the day. But so I'm looking basically because they didn't have this record available just on like a store. It was like, we printed because in 2015 and vinyl was still on the way back up.
Yeah.
And they just didn't print many copies of any album, should they print any at all. I mean, there's plenty of albums when I first was getting into vinyl where I was like, I can't even buy this album. Vinyl sucks.
Yeah.
Like now it's cool. You know, they've really stepped up how many.
All the lathe or whatever they're called, the cutting stations or whatever, all full of like orders from Taylor Swift. So people have stopped pressing vinyl as much because now all of a sudden, because it became popular, they can't do it anymore, which is funny.
Yeah, I haven't kept up with it as much just because I haven't like made time for my records. They're there. They're sitting on a shelf, but
you made this trip.
Well, so I find on Discogs, someone has this record that I want. So I'm, it's not my first day online. I look at their record collection and I'm like, what else does this person like? Because I used, back in this day, I would spend a lot more time kind of discovering new music. So I like a lot of different genres. And I see that they like Infected Mushroom, which is like experimental trance. So I was like, I'm going to message them. My record is worth like $20 more than the one that I want, but I'm going to message them and be like, the deal's in your favor. What are you going to do? And so we traded the record, and then I became friends with them, just based on like, those are it's a weird trade to me.
Yeah.
It's just two things that like are not really well known. So kind of became friends like that. And then, so I'm looking at their Facebook and I'm like, oh, this person goes to MagFest, which is an event that's been on my radar. So I just was like, hey, how's MagFest? That's pretty cool. And they were like, oh, we actually need help. And so boom, there I am.
Yeah.
So what do they do? Are they arcade machine
right? So
supplier?
It's like MagFest is like a bunch of different people that kind of go together. I think last year was safe for it to happen. 2020 technically, it happens at the beginning of every year.
Yeah,
it's like the
PAX
first
got
week
away
of
with it,
January. So I always think it's the wrong year because it's like so close to
that.
It's like almost right on New Year's. And I think the last one that I went to, there was 14 different people that brought their collection.
How
So
many
it's a group
cabinets do they get? Like,
Well, each truck holds about 18 or so on average. So you're thinking 14. A couple of people bring 2 trucks because I mean, really, I have a lot of
I
shit,
love
but
that.
I'm not even like way up there. But I want to say at least 300 in one room. It's an expo hall. I mean, if you've been to YomaCon, it kind of looks like that.
I actually have not.
A mistake.
I've never been to a con in my life.
So I don't think we've actually said what Psychic Drive does. Do you want to kind of flush out?
Oh yeah, I'm so sorry.
that's cool.
I feel like we've talked around it for a long time.
Yeah.
If you haven't picked it up by now,
Yeah.
turn it off.
It's your fault, audience.
I have a collection of arcade machines, and me and my friends will bring them to events that are looking to rent those machines. And they are mostly Japanese machines, but I've really been getting into pinball, and which is why there's 2 pinball machines here at Replay.
Thank you, Dave.
As I couldn't let you guys live another day without playing a modern pinball game.
Yeah, I told him we had Xenon, and he's like, "That's great, but we're
Worst
living in
game
the past."
ever.
No. It's a beautiful cabinet.
No,
Sure.
it's great. I just compared it to like a generational thing. It's just, pinball. I mean, even during the pandemic, they've still come out with like 6 pinball machines, and every pinball machine, they take it, they iterate it, they make it better. So when you play a machine from 2019, it's just going to kick the ass of a machine made in 1982 or whatever.
Right. I mean, like, that's something I didn't understand. I truly thought, because I've only played pinball while waiting for other things to happen.
And that's fine too. It's nice to just kill a few minutes with it, but it also is like, once you get into it and you realize it's a deep skill game, like the shaking the cabinet is part of it and everything. And I still haven't dropped the flipper tutorials on you guys, and I need to do that.
Okay.
There's more.
Wait. What do
So you guys have been playing a little bit.
Yeah.
We're
and it's
babies.
nice that I explained that there's a progression of the missions
Yeah.
to you guys. And now there's a page that I want to link to you, and it has GIFs of different ways to control the flippers. And depending on the angle the ball is coming down towards them, You'll see. You
Like,
kind of
it's
have
like-
to see
Are we
it.
talking about like cradling and everything like
Yeah,
that?
you've got it. Okay.
Okay.
I like to call it catch and release.
Yeah.
You know? I got
The
my
very
own
basics of
terminology.
it. We-
I call
Right.
it doing
So
it when
like
you brought it in.
when you
yeah.
guys started playing, I said, okay, do try and slow the ball down and hold it.
Yeah.
But there's like terms for like if the ball's coming down and you actually don't flip and let it bounce, called
Off.
dead flip.
Yeah.
You let the ball bounce because you know, okay, if it hits this area of the flipper, it's gonna go this way. So it's a lot like pool where you kind of have to. Without obviously having any kind of like, in a video game, you might have the dotted line.
Yeah.
You have to make that dotted line in real time. And the newer machines is fast. The ball is going really fast.
First of all, we got to get a pool table. That's just a note for later. We'll also drop that video in the show notes. Alex is shaking his head. Why do you know what pool? It's not important. Anyways.
You guys try to pitch me on games that we can't possibly fit in this space all the time. Well, let's get a pool table. Why don't we just have Bago going on? Yeah, we can just fling some cornhole bags
And a
around.
gorilla
Okay.
Can we get
suit.
horseshoes outside in
I
the
would
summer?
rather have a pool table 20 times over than Bago.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Why would you compare those two things? Pool is cool.
You guys are trying to add a bunch of stuff. We already don't have the square footage for it. Get another
I want to
another
just make the
location, and we
distinction
can
that
have
you can
meat
play
sports.
pool to Bob Seger, but you have to do like Rod Stewart to Bago, and those things aren't comparable in the hang out and play music game thing dynamic. Just pointing it out. I don't know if that makes sense, but it makes sense to
Doesn't.
me. It makes sense.
I have
feel
a
like
quick
I-
question for Dave.
All right.
Anyways,
This
back to this.
this
right.
argument. So I've been thinking, like, theorizing basically with comparing older and newer pinball machines to one
Sure.
another. It really seems like to me, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, you said it's like improvements, but it seems like playing Xenon and playing the stuff you brought, that old machines were built to eat your quarters, and new games the newer games are really there to make you play. I mean, like the one that we have, like, there's the 10-second timer where you can get like
Ball save, yeah.
ball save and everything like that. Is that some, like, did they
So
realize
for
that
tournaments, they turn ball save off.
Okay.
Scary. It's terrifying when you
I would
roll up to a
lose
machine and there's no ball
in
save.
44 seconds.
Yeah, so we're still babies, but okay.
That's okay. No, there's nothing wrong with that. But to your point, there are periods of like ups and downs. So like there's a period of time we don't talk about from like 2006 to 2012 where the machines were evil.
Okay.
And they do eat your quarters.
'Kay.
Because the machines are very expensive.
Yeah.
So if you don't,
Make
like
your
if
money
you're
back
not
on
making your money back on them, I mean, and pinball machines are also higher maintenance, which is something that kept me from kind of getting into them at the beginning. One, they cost more. Two, you got to replace the rubbers. Eventually, you got to replace the flipper mechanisms. I mean, there's parts that just have to get replaced.
They
It's
get
kind of
worn
like a
down.
car.
Yeah.
Whereas your standard arcade machine is a little bit more
Electronics
well-to-do.
keep it-
It's left alone.
Pinball's
it's
literally
fine.
like an impact activity. Like,
Right, like I would compare, like a pinball machine is like owning a classic car, even a new pinball machine. I mean, you don't own a classic car unless you're ready to wrench on it. You just don't. So that's another thing that kind of kept me from getting into pinball. Is like I was afraid.
okay.
Now I'm not afraid, so we're good.
Do you think that there is any correlation between the period of time when pinball was evil and the release of the movie Terminator 3?
Okay, the Terminator 3 pinball machine was made by Steve Ritchie, who is like the pinball design god. So I don't think so.
Okay, just checking.
What?
Well, he said machines were evil.
Machines, yeah.
I thought you had some deep knowledge about the quality and make of like the Terminator 3 pinball machine. I was like, whoa.
Well,
Alex,
it is made by Steve Ritchie, who's like
Right, which you do.
He's like the best pinball designer, and if you've played the Terminator 2 pinball machine, that's also him. If you've played the newer, he still designs pinball machines today. He did the Star Trek machine.
Mm-hmm.
Well, both of them. Well, I guess there's even another older one, but he did
2006 Star Trek or 2000 or like
he did the
TGN.
he did the Next Generation machine, which if you've seen it, it's got like guns on it.
cool.
It's really cool, and he also did the one off the reboot.
Okay.
And I forget all the actors that were in that movie suddenly, but I could see them in
Chris
my mind.
Pine.
Yes, that's it. He did that one.
Zachary
and that's
Quinto?
one that they had
What?
at like that's a common one. You'll see that one all the time.
Mm.
And he did the latest Star Wars machine, which you'll see all the time. And he did the Game of Thrones machine, which is awesome. And most recently, he did the Led Zeppelin machine, which they have at Marvin's.
I've heard-
that machine
Were you
rules.
telling me about that?
Yeah. So this guy is just like, if you go to his like pinball history page, it kind of looks like IMDb, but it's about pinball. He's just like been killing it since the early 80s.
What makes is there anything distinct about his cabinets? Can you know when you're playing a Steve Ritchie machine?
I want to say yes, because there's like things that you can notice about the design, but I think to qualify this conversation, I would need like a separate, this would
Whole
need to be like
different
a drop
podcast?
down thing. Yeah.
Okay.
We can't go that deep into it.
Gotcha.
I have a odd question.
Sure.
Have you played Killer Queen?
I love Killer Queen, and I have been trying to get one for so long, but they are $15,000.
Alex is pushing hard.
I looked at the beginning of summer because I was just told about this 10-player.
It is amazing, and the only one in Michigan is in, like, it's closer
Kalamazoo.
to Chicago. Yep.
Yeah.
What's Killer Queens for the...
Hoo boy! It's a 10-player arcade game, 5 versus 5, independently made, and it is just designed to be played with the beer in your hand. It's amazing.
It's
Okay.
real-time
it's a one-hand
strategy.
game?
Yeah.
No, it's not actually one-hand
Oh.
game, but, like, it has cup holders for beer. It is we're drinking at the bar, and we're having a fucking 5x5 blast.
Or even
It's
when you
amazing.
brought by Total Annihilation, when you saw there's a cup holder, like when you left, we're like, this is like the actual
like,
best part. This is the cool
Everything
part.
needs this. Yeah.
Yeah, everything
And then we
does
played
need a
it,
cup
we were like,
holder.
wow, this is also sick, and we were like, yeah,
Right.
awesome.
Yeah, but how do you? Okay, Killer Queen.
Killer Queen is so good, and it is also something that I encountered for the first time at MagFest because people bring that machine there. But when I went to go want to buy one, I mean, $15,000 is a lot for me. I rent them out, and it would take a long time to like. That game is designed to not eat quarters, but you play. It's kind of like NBA Jam. You play a game, and then you put more money in because it was awesome, and you want to keep playing. So in that way, it is designed to just continuously accept quarters. So like in a busy bar, I could see that game paying for itself after a year or two.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, $15,000 in quarters.
You're just
totally doable.
Alex is just shaking his head at you, like, yeah.
I want one so
I've been
bad.
on board. This is the one arcade cabinet that I will just be on board for. Just the sound
It's just
of
so
a
much to stomach
10-player
at once. That's
Yeah.
all. But it is so fun.
That's why
and there's strategy. You know, one player is like the queen. The other players are like the soldiers, so you can take turns. Like you don't have to be the queen every time. There's 3 different ways to win. You can ride the snail, or you can like fill up the thing with berries, or you can kill their other queen 3 times.
I was just about to ask, what
God,
is
it's
the gameplay
so
like?
incredible.
And
So-
that's so confusing.
so it's
I'm more
basically
confused.
like Joust on steroids. 10-player Joust.
Okay.
Honestly, it's the best way to describe it. It controls very similarly
Jake,
to
you
Joust.
probably haven't ever played Joust, right?
I was just nodding along. What's
yeah,
Joust?
exactly.
It's a game that came out in the early 80s where you ride an ostrich and you have a lance, and your goal is to kill.
Okay, 2D, like, scrolling.
Not
Well,
even scrolling. It's a
we're
single
talking about
screen.
like pre-NES style.
Okay.
It's old.
Like you move off the left and you come
It
across
probably
the right.
came out for a console that was predating the
Like a
NES.
ColecoVision or something?
like that. Yeah,
Okay.
I think we have it on one of our like.
it's on a million collections.
Yeah.
And the ostrich is really cool looking.
We have it on some arcade collective on I think Super Nintendo.
Right, like it was a popular game to be played in arcades well before the likes of like Mortal Kombat came out, things like that.
We might be the second place in Michigan now that you've confirmed Alex's suspicion. Like you
mean-
said, like,
I mean, listen, if you guys are gonna get Killer, I was already gonna hang out here, but if you guys are gonna get Killer Queen, see what happens when you get Killer Queen. I'm in like even though there isn't one in Detroit,
yeah.
I am in all the Facebook groups for it. There's memes for it that I see and I understand them now. And like what happens is people will perform or there is a strategy you can do. So
Okay.
people will form their own team, 5 players as a big team.
Do
But
they
people,
travel?
Well, that's the thing is there is like a Killer Queen championship in America. So like people get pretty heated about it, but we met with the developers, total chance meeting. They were in Chicago, and we were there just hanging out at Logan Arcade, which if you are listening to this and you're near Chicago, Logan Arcade, they already know.
Logan Square?
I don't know if
Wait
that's
a
really
minute.
good.
He only knows where the arcade
Yeah,
is.
listen, when I go someplace, like I go look for their good food and I go see what their arcade looks like.
I like that. That's me
Like
too.
that's what traveling looks like on like the first day of me going somewhere. And then if we're there longer, I can kind of check the rest of the stuff out. And I do like museums and things, but what your local arcade looks like means a lot to me.
I think I've actually walked by Logan Arcades. That's why.
So they had a Killer Queen tournament going on there and the developers were there. So I was like, hello, I run an arcade rental company.
Yeah.
And they told me, like, because I was like, I'd love to work with you, like whatever. And they told me, listen, I'm going to tell you a secret. The game sells beer. If you're telling us you want to buy our game and then not put it in a place where you can buy a beer, you are making a mistake.
Okay.
And I was just like, well, geez, I don't own a bar,
Yeah.
so I don't know. So I do, I mean, I'm not saying it wouldn't be popular here, but I'm saying that when I was talking about it earlier, saying you're meant to have like a beer when you're playing it, I was not joking.
Okay. We'll work something out.
Right.
We'll check out the
fact that you guys are interested at all. I didn't
Yeah.
even know anyone else around here even knew what the game was. I've obviously been trying to tell people about it, but the back to what you said about an investment. For me, I don't do enough events to justify dropping $15,000 on one cabinet. I mean, it's 2 cabinets together, 5 players on each side, but It's a monstrous cabinet, that as well. I mean, it can't fit through a normal door.
Well, how would you even get in it? It looks so wide. On a truck, it would just eat the center of the truck, right? It would be like the whole
it
center.
would take up space, but it's a unique experience going back again to what I said at the beginning. It's something you do. They came out with one for the Switch, but I'll be honest, I haven't really looked at it because in my mind, it exists as an arcade experience. I really don't want the Switch version. And I mean, I realize that's people probably don't want to hear me say that, but that's the truth.
I feel that way about a lot of stuff where like once it made the transition, like I think that was like Sega's design thing and kind of why they just went back to arcades, because the whole time what they were really doing was designing for arcade games.
Right, and it's like, well, at what point are you compromising your design to put this on a home console?
Yeah, and it just didn't make sense and stuff. And anyways, all right. I didn't know if I was being told it was 5 o'clock or if we had 5 minutes.
I am very long-winded, so like,
no,
I'm always conscious now of like, am I monopolizing the conversation?
This is all about you.
A conversation about yourself? No way.
Well, yeah, I realize you guys are asking me questions, but I don't. You guys can butt in at any time.
I guess the one question we didn't get to ask you yet that we've been asking all of our guests is, do you have a specific game? Like, what's your oldest memory of a game that you played when you were younger? Like, what's the first memory you have?
An inciting incident.
And this is probably going to be very relatable for a lot of people, but I went to the neighbor's house, and they had a regular Nintendo, an NES as we call them, and I was basically just amazed that Duck Hunt, like Mario's good, but Duck Hunt was like, this console has a gun. Like little like 5-year-old me holding this thing, not really knowing what a gun is, but being able to point it at the TV and it reacts to it. I mean, that was just wild to me.
I'm still waiting for augmented reality Duck Hunt.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Like, why is that not a thing? We've got Pokemon Go.
I think everyone thinks of Duck Hunt as like the game that came with Mario, but I like that you put Duck Hunt over Mario as. And
I mean, if we're gonna like, my favorite game of all time is Super Mario World, so the formula is there. Mario World controls like butter,
right?
Just so good.
Our last guest hated Mario, so next.
Oh well, they're not my friend.
He had some addendums to the thought.
It was very thoughtful. It was basically right.
There's nothing wrong with that. You're allowed to like what you like, but
I wouldn't say that.
All right, never mind then.
I'm joking, but no, his whole thing was about like he loves narrative games and he loves like high competition games, and I think Mario is a game with no narrative where you play alone against yourself.
And he said it was too cutesy in comparison to.
Oh, I see.
But again, like I also made the argument that like Mario Bros. 3 is like first games I ever played. Loved it so much, but I don't go and play Odyssey now.
Right. I also haven't gotten to Odyssey.
You should. I heard it's amazing.
I keep hearing it's great, and I do love like Mario 64. It's not like I don't want to play it, and I actually really like Galaxy a lot too. When I had all those Wii games.
Did it? Because I skipped out on it because I didn't like the Wii when it came out. I felt like it was cool from it, and then I was immediately bothered that I had to have like a gimmick in every game.
Yeah, it was kind of bothersome. But
so did Mario like? Did it lend itself to that gimmick, or did it do away with it completely? I'm just curious about the controls. Anybody could tell me this probably.
Honestly, in my mind, I remember kind of like waggling the stick to collect some star thingies, but at the end of the day, I was like playing Mario. I don't remember, I don't think it got in the way too much.
You had said that you went to your neighbor's house. Does that mean you're an only child?
No, it does not.
Are you the oldest?
Yes.
That's it. I like that you said you went to your neighbor's house, because our friend who still comes in here sometimes, like I would go to his house. I was going to say, I
actually don't see the logic there at all.
Oh, that's funny. But this is a podcast topic about like the older brother versus younger brother gaming experience.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And like as an older brother, like I had to seek out Smash Bros. 64.
Okay.
I had to go somewhere to play it because my parents would never allow, which meant I brought the fight home that we must get a GameCube.
Okay.
And then the younger brother just, trickle down.
I see.
You inherit it as the younger brother.
Yeah.
You watch it first.
So yes, I am the older child.
So this is going to be my second question, because I don't get it still. Do you like watching esports at all?
It depends.
Okay.
Back in the day, I definitely would like root for Walshy when we were playing Halo.
I'm so glad you mentioned that dude's from Battle
Creek. He's from Michigan, yeah.
Yeah, Battle Creek.
Oh, no way.
Which did not really factor into why I was rooting for him. I just thought he was a cool guy.
Oh, I didn't like him because I don't like anyone who always wins.
Straight ripping.
No, that's the whole thing. Yeah, it's like I was watching those videos, and me and my friends were like playing Halo constantly, LAN parties, and like we would go as far as like I had like stats that I would keep track of from the LAN parties that we had like on like notebooks and stuff.
We're doing that
That's
tonight. That's on a
tonight.
website. We found a website that tracks everyone's session and stuff. So we're going to talk about question, because we're doing our league tonight, and we're asking people for the league going forward, which will become a more official kind of thing. What stats are most important to keep track of and reward? People seem in Call of Duty to care a lot about KD. I don't know if they care a lot about it in Halo.
It depends on what you're going to do, because it's been so long since I've just gotten to play some games that are objective based, I'll say. So like if you're going to say, hey, we've got 10 people up here and we're going to play 5v5 CTF, well then I don't really care about any stats. I just want to kind of win.
Yeah.
So it depends on what you do. If it's just a team slayer, then I guess you can care about KD, because if you work as like a team, you can kind of prevent more deaths on your team. I don't know. It's kind of confusing to think about. Like I back in the day, I would just kind of note down. Like,
what did you keep track of?
You would scroll through the pages, and we would definitely do KD, but we would also do, like, they had other stats, but I can't really recall what they were. I mean, I can see the menu, but I don't know what the
like
text
beatdowns,
is on
assists.
Yeah, I didn't go so far as tracking medals, because that would be tedious.
Right,
but,
yeah, back in the day, definitely.
But they had a really nice breakdown, and I can't remember what else I zoomed in on.
Alex is mad because there's no bullets spread on future weapons from 2500.
I'm just saying, if there's an accuracy stat, it might be good to pay attention to it.
Sure.
I mean, maybe, I'll go look.
Yeah, I think objective-based gameplay. I'm more interested in objective-based gameplay than just kill them all.
And yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at. Is it depends on how you guys do the league. I would love to, even if it's not part of the league, maybe after the league's over, be like, are we gonna play some CTF here? Because
I think we wanted to definitely do team objective games starting tonight.
Okay.
Because last time I realized we did a lot of Slayer, and it kind of established like who's competitive in that way, who's competitive in what way. But I'm looking at you. What you guys
was
thinking?
Cool about I didn't get to play, but I watched. I liked that you had broken it up into multi-team.
That was so much fun.
I think that's way more interesting to have 2v2v2v2v2. You got gold team, pink team, green team. Cool. Like that's a cooler way to do it rather than just like 5v5 a go. Like
And that's the thing is, like, you can play so many different ways. Yeah. I like Halo a lot for that reason. You can say, all right, we're going to spend a couple hours doing 4v4, but then and the next hour we're going to play 2v2v2.
That's the plan tonight.
Then we'll do some free-for-all. You can keep changing it up every hour or so. And
it stays pretty fresh.
Yeah, you're not like, oh, I'm super bored. And also something about Halo is, the weapons on the map, that still matters. Like, I did kind of fall out of it a little bit around, like, reach.
Same.
Like, I was like, come on, Armor Lock sucks. Like,
Armor Lock is hilarious.
It's hilarious, but it's not Halo to me.
No.
I was mad that there were loadouts. It was someone got their Call of Duty in my Halo.
Yeah, I hated it.
Yeah, I hate it too. I'll play it though.
I was playing it as well, but like to me, 2 and 3 were just the golden era.
Yeah. One's fun for everyone to start complaining about getting spawn killed.
Well, the pistol is just insane.
It's both horseshit and golden. You know? Anyways, I think we should do a second episode with you because we've got a lot.
I'll be here forever. Not here, but
I live here now.
I'm a Michigan person. I'll be hanging out here to play Halo, play pinball, whatever. So
play Killer Queen.
If you guys want to drop 15G, I will definitely stand on the sidelines and wave the flag.
I could see, some type of DBA going on where we get a small business loan, connective tissue here.
Yeah, I just don't know how to price it properly for you guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I would love to be part of the brainstorm of that effort, just because if that happens, I will stand on the rooftop and shout, "Let us form Killer Queen teams."
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like. That is something you can definitely.
It makes
push.
us a bigger tourist location. I mean, there's only one in the state.
Right. And like I said, the other one in the state's closer to Chicago. It's so far away. But if you were to do that, it would be something where it would probably have to be kind of like separate from your normal pricing structure, I think. And that's the part that's hard, is determining what's fair for that, especially if teams of 5 people are going to show up and compete. So it's tough. But I will say that I did see a couple sell over the last year because of the pandemic. And they pretty much retain their value. They were selling for used have been in a bar for $1,300 or $13,000.
I was like, whoa, huge discount.
No, sorry. The zero, in my mind, the zeros are wrong. But numbers. It's basically, the wear and tear on this machine has only knocked $2,000 off the price. But that's
if they're
not
independently
even 20%.
made, they must be scarce, and that's not going to change, right?
Right.
We got to beat them to the punch. Whoever else has got $15,000 burning a hole in their pocket.
Well, and that's the thing is we look
that's
at
fucking right.
We look at all these places that are open and we say, Well, a lot of these places, and this is why I don't have any classic games, so you can go pretty much to any city and go play Donkey Kong or Pac-Man,
Right.
and those are great games, but that's just not what I've got in my pocket.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
doesn't
Like
draw
I want to
anybody.
I want to offer unique stuff to other people. So Killer Queen is something that it's been on my radar. It just isn't in the cards right now. But the demand is there. I promise. The demand is there.
That's perfect. Because before it was just Alex demanding me that I open this link for the
No,
fourth time.
he's got the right idea.
All right, Alex, I'll follow you
Nice.
anywhere
I love getting reaffirmed on the podcast, all my beliefs.
for everyone to hear.
Yeah, this you guys knew that I like Killer Queen, and this is the whole reason you invited me. I'm sure is to just
Exactly.
make sure that
I just threw it in as a random question. That's my one obscure arcade fact.
Not your Terminator 3 question. That wasn't the obscure.
That was a lucky one too, I guess.
All right,
fine.
Dave. Thank you for talking.
Thank
I
you
want to
guys
do
for
this again
having me.
as soon as possible.
Yeah, we'll
Dave.
get you back on the books.
Yeah. By the way, I wanted to tell you tonight is the release because you mentioned Halo 3. The release of the first new Halo 3 map in 13 years.
Are you serious?
It's called Waterfall. There's one more coming called The Edge, but it's not done.
Yeah, I guess the reason I don't know about this is like my Master Chief Collection copy is sitting in my Xbox, whatever they named it.
Yeah, back when.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it must be coming to Xbox too. We need to figure out if there's cross.
I don't know. Yeah, that's the thing is my computer, the one that could
I think
handle
there is.
playing games, is over there underneath the machine.
Because you log into the Microsoft whatever, I think there's crossplay.
I think it's
gotta
Yeah, I
imagine
think they
there's
finally got their
crossplay.
act together on that where it's
Yeah.
like
It's
if you
insane,
own it,
right?
you can play on PC
Especially with
too.
the Xbox, whatever S and X and the new ones being out now.
I'm gonna believe that there is because I've seen people with guests, and you cannot have a guest on a PC.
Yeah, we'll Google
definitely
it.
be
We'll
a-
Google it.
Yeah.
All right.
This episode's not brought to you by SpaghettiOs. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs.
And we're out.